Imagine dedicating your entire life to a belief system and only to wake up one day and realize something isn't right. Over the last decade, around 2 million Jehovah's Witnesses have walked away from the faith they once believed was the truth. What can make such a huge number of people walk away, fade into the world they once feared? Now, today's video is a compilation of episodes that have been done in the past. Now you have an opportunity to watch them, and by so doing, you'll be able to see the flow and the logic from the first episode to the last episode. Today we uncover 10 major reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses are walking away from the faith in record numbers. We'll be going in the descending order. The first reason that has made Jehovah's Witnesses to walk away from the faith is relationship struggle and personal freedom. You know the estimated number of people who have walked away as a result of this? 100,000. For most people, love and friendships are choices of the heart. But for Jehovah's Witnesses, these choices come with rules. Dating outside the faith, discouraged. Friendship with worldly people, a spiritual danger. Marriage to a non-JW, risk for your salvation. This control over personal relationships became one of the many reasons people decided to walk away. So Jehovah's Witnesses' social life is totally controlled. Here's the clip.
Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33 together. Here we read, "Do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits." As familiar as that principle is, can you think of an area in your life where it's difficult to apply?
Hey, John. I know it's not your usual, but there's no one to entertain those clients tonight, so can you do it? Thanks. Great.
Till then, it wasn't my usual thing. I can handle it. I think.
We're faced with bad associations in subtle ways. This may require us to ask additional questions of ourselves. Are we letting in bad association through social media? Perhaps we can think of another way bad association.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's something very specific. Or maybe bad association is coming from a place we never expected.
I only join games with witness friends I know. But sometimes they connect with people I don't know.
Governing body went as far as controlling the bedroom affairs. This has just now been relaxed, but otherwise they controlled what sexual relationships are considered immoral and which ones are considered as righteous. Recently, they came up with a ruling or a statement that was published that what happens in the bedroom is a personal affair because the Bible does not regulate what happens in the bedroom. Let's look at a fact check. Jehovah's Witnesses are discouraged friendships with non-Jehovah's Witnesses, branding it as bad association. Marriage outside the faith is highly discouraged. Here's a testimony of a former JW. I was engaged to someone outside the faith, and my elders told me to break it off or risk my standing in the congregation. I had to choose between love and my faith. I chose love. Personal relationship struggles is one of the reasons why 100,000 Jehovah's Witnesses walked away from the faith. But what happens if personal freedom is taken away in another area of your life? What if even the future is controlled? That's exactly what happened to the next 150,000 who left. And we are looking at higher education ban. The videos that I did referring to how the governing body discourages higher education, a lot of members of Jehovah's Witnesses, particularly from the Western world, argued that the governing body does not stop anyone from pursuing higher education. And yet, in the same videos, I had played several clips showing the governing body actually discouraging young witnesses from pursuing higher education. For many young people, education is the key to success, but for Jehovah's Witnesses, it's seen as a trap. The Watchtower discourages higher education, warning that it leads to materialism and worldly thinking. College is labeled as dangerous, and many young JWs are steered toward part-time work instead of pursuing university degrees. Let's look at the fact check. Jehovah's Witnesses actively discourage higher education, claiming it weakens faith. Source, Exit and Tale, 2022. Many young Jehovah's Witnesses actually leave when they realize their future financial status is being restricted. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. One former witness said, I turned down a full scholarship because I was afraid Jehovah would be disappointed. Now, I see that was the biggest mistake of my life. And yet, Mark Sanders says that it's the greatest decision they'll ever make. And he said, look at me, I've never regretted. Here's the clip.
Brothers and sisters, why are we so convinced that full-time service will lead you young ones to a wonderful life? Well, it's because that's the decision that so many of us made when we were young. Do you remember that 18-year-old young brother who was trying to decide which path to take? Well, that was me some years ago. I'm so glad that with the help of Jehovah and my parents and other mature friends in the congregation, I made the decision, just like so many other brothers and sisters around the world, to turn down that scholarship, to give up university, and go directly into the full-time service.
Stephen Lett even argues that I went from high school straight into full-time ministry, went to Bethel, and he praises the encouragement from members of the congregation and his parents actually to do that.
Peer pressure was put on me to enter the pioneer ministry right out of high school. What a blessing and a protection it was to enter the regular pioneer work at age 17 and to be able to go to Bethel at 18. Even though there was considerable worldly pressure put on me to pursue university education, I am so happy that with Jehovah's help, I decided to build my future with Jehovah.
Tony Morris, the former JW governing body, in one of his broadcasts, said the best university will be actually trying to control the mind of your child. Here's the clip.
If we are in continued association with those who do not believe the same, it can erode our thinking and convictions. I have long said, the better the university, the greater the danger. The most intelligent and eloquent professors will be trying to reshape the thinking of your child, and their influence can be tremendous. In addition to promoting divine education, what secular skills will we be promoting? Skills that will be useful to God's organization now and after Armageddon. For example, we need construction skills around the world right now.
Has the position of the governing body changed over higher education? And he says no.
Has the governing body changed its position regarding the pursuit of higher secular education? No. We feel that all of the cautions that we have addressed in the past are still valid. However, our goal now is to focus on and intensify our promotion of the pursuit of divine education.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. What if even the organization itself is struggling for money? That's what drove another 150,000 witnesses away from the faith. So next we look at failed leadership and financial struggles. Number of people who left, 150,000. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that their leaders, the governing body, are chosen by God. But if that's true, why is the organization struggling financially? In 2023, the Watchtower sold multiple properties, raising serious concerns among members. Congregations were being merged, kingdom halls were being sold, and members were still being asked to donate more. Let's look at the fact check. The Watchtower Society sold multiple properties between 2015 and 2025 due to financial difficulties. Yet members were still expected to increase their donations. Here's the clip.
There are some facts that we want to make you aware of. For one thing, the financial needs in the field have accelerated at a pace unlike any time in the recent past. So instead of conveying the message that the organization needed less in the way of donations, the intent was really just the opposite. But we have confidence that our hearts will be moved to contribute what we can each month to offset the necessary expense of building new meeting places for our brothers worldwide.
Some of these properties were sold in millions of dollars, and when the Brooklyn headquarters was sold, it was sold for around $2 billion. A former JW said this: they kept saying the end of the world was close. So why were they holding money and selling kingdom halls? Here's the clip for that.
We're really not surprised to see the world in the grip of such pestilence, are we? Jesus made it clear at Luke 21:11 that pestilence would be part of the sign of the last days. And in Revelation chapter 6, the ride of the fourth horseman includes mention of deadly plague. So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
Financial struggles were not the only reason. For thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses, stress wasn't just financial, it was psychological. The next 200,000 people left the faith because of mental health and burnout. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught that they can always do more, attend more meetings, preach door to door, start more, obey more. But for many, their constant pressure led to anxiety, depression, and burnout. And unfortunately, what has made the situation worse, the Jehovah's Witnesses has had no mental health program. This is just being realized now. One doctor told his ex-JW patient that he does not know any Jehovah's Witness that he sees who is not on antidepressants. Here's the clip for that.
While some witnesses may find solace in the organization's rigid ideology, others find it difficult to adhere to its rules, leading them to anxiety and depression.
My own doctor said, he didn't have a single Jehovah's Witness patient that he saw that wasn't on antidepressants. Right? And that's a pretty common thing.
Those feelings of anxiety and depression are compounded by the fear that breaking the rules or leaving the organization will result in them being disfellowshipped and shunned by friends and family.
The governing body pushes people to do more and more and more, and yet does not develop a mental health program for its members. But for many, this constant pressure led to anxiety, depression, and burnout. Fact check. Many ex-JWs report mental health struggles due to the pressures of religion. Source: Psychology of Religion 2024. Former JW testimony. I kept telling myself I wasn't doing enough. Then I realized it will never be enough. Now, but what if there was something much more than burnout that made people to walk away? And not just burnout and exhaustion, but because the world changed. The pandemic just did that. And it caused another 200,000 people to leave the faith in the last decade. Jehovah's Witnesses rely on constant community reinforcement, meetings, conventions, field service. But when the pandemic shut down kingdom halls, something unexpected happened. Many realized their faith was more about habit than true faith. So they are kept constantly moving from meeting to meeting, preaching, moving door to door, attending conventions, field service. So they are constantly on the move. Midweek meetings, Sunday meetings, and several other meetings that they have. They have to have meetings at home. And this does not give Jehovah's Witnesses time to sit, to think, and reflect. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. Let's look at the fact check. COVID-19 disrupted worship routines, leading many to question their faith. One former JW said, "Without constant meetings, I finally had time to think for myself." Why did he say I had time to think for myself? Because Jehovah's Witnesses do not think for themselves. The governing body actually thinks for them. There's no need to think. That's why Ralph Walls condemned independent thinking in the JW broadcasting, protect your thinking. And what they call Jehovah's thinking is actually governing body thinking, because most of the things that he explained in that video had nothing to do with Jehovah's thinking. Here's a clip from Ralph Walls.
There is independent thinking that at times comes from our very fellow worshipers. For example, have you ever heard someone say, "You're still just a housewife. Times have changed. Why don't you go get a job?" Or the expression, "Pioneering is not for everyone. You need more training and education if you're going to make it in today's world. Let them tap your talents and skills." I feel the best way to help my disfellowship relative is to stay in touch with him. But you know what? Thinking ability is what protects us from these and other reasonings that don't reflect Jehovah's thinking on matters.
In part 2 of this video, we uncover additional 5 reasons that made more people to walk away from the faith. And one of such reasons made more than 850,000 Jehovah's Witnesses to walk away from the faith. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. If you have any questions, you are seeking clarifications, please put them in the comment section below. If you think that what I've said is not true, I welcome your challenge. I'm also inviting any JW who would like to have an interview with me. If you're interested in telling your story, kindly use Tell Me Dr. K to give you an opportunity to be able to tell your story to the world. In the last episode, we looked at 5 major reasons that made over 850,000 people leave the Jehovah's Witnesses faith between 2015 and 2025. The question is, what about the next 5? These were actually the most devastating reasons that made Jehovah's Witnesses to leave. These reasons, I tell you, they have actually hammered a blow to the Jehovah's Witness organization more than any other reasons. So stay tuned to know the other 5 reasons that made more Jehovah's Witnesses to leave the faith. As I've mentioned in more of my videos, Jehovah's Witnesses have branded the organization as the truth. And that's one of the signs of being chaotic.
And if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's a bit hard to remember, was that what we used to believe, or is this what we believe now?
Many of our brothers have no trouble accepting the fact that Jehovah will forgive the sins they committed in their ignorance before they came to a knowledge of the truth.
So the next highest figure of Jehovah's Witnesses who left the faith is due to shunning and family separation. For many Jehovah's Witnesses, leaving the faith isn't just about leaving a religion. It is about leaving everything you know, everything you love, everything you hold dear. Parents are taught to cut off ties with their children. Children are taught to cut off ties with their parents. Here's a clip.
Mom's disfellowshipping still feels so raw. up. I miss you so much. I just want to hear your voice.
It's such a struggle. I miss her. She taught me the truth, gave me a stable life. She was my closest friend. What's the harm in just calling once in a while? To chat. Maybe I can even help her to come back to Jehovah.
His friends stop returning calls. When you go to school, if you are still in school, those friends stop talking to you. The emotional toll of this practice is actually devastating. Let's listen to this clip.
I came to talk to Jody, who has a similar story. He was disfellowshipped the day he finished high school after the organization discovered he had got a young woman pregnant.
In front of the whole congregation that people should avoid contact with me, and they gave the reason why, and everybody, like I said, turned around and looked. And
how did you feel in that moment?
Pretty small at that moment. Like, I knew these people my whole life. And within that second, they were never going to speak to me again. And they never did. None of them. The boys in the congregation that were close to my age that I had grown up with, that was the last time that I talked to them. That was it. Next day at school, or it was nothing. It was like I didn't even exist anymore.
Fact check. 70% of former Jehovah's Witnesses experience shunning, and 1 in 3 lose all family contacts. Source: Psychology of Religion 2024. One former witness said, "My mother handed me a letter telling me they could no longer speak to me." Just imagine your mother handing you a letter, making it official she could no longer speak to you. What sort of religion? What sort of God's organization? What sort of Jehovah would allow such a thing? And she said, I was dead to her. But what if shunning was just part of the bigger betrayal? The next reason that made 300,000 people to leave will even be more disturbing. Let's look at reason number 7. Hypocrisy and organization scandals. That led to 300,000 people to leave. Jehovah's Witnesses claim to be God's one true organization. In fact, they said it's a channel through which Jehovah speaks to people on earth. Who can make such a claim? I've never heard any organization who have made such a bold claim. But between 2015 and 2025, more than 10,000 child sexual abuse scandals surfaced, and over $400 million was paid in settlements. Many left after learning the disturbing truth about what was happening behind closed doors. Members of Jehovah's Witnesses are constantly contributing to the organization. They are constantly contributing time. They are moving from door to door preaching. They are knocking on doors. They are distributing literature, or they are standing on their literature carts or literature stands. They go on and on. They actually invest their whole life in this organization.
Here's another recent development. In March 2025, the governing body invited branch committee members 80 years of age or older to consider their circumstances. As a result, some of these dear brothers have made a personal decision that they will no longer serve as branch committee members. Let's hear from a few.
Old age sneaks up on you, and you don't realize at times the limitations that you have. So this was a way for the governing body to help us to just accept the reality of old age and the consequences.
Investing free labor to build kingdom halls, which are later flipped and sold for millions of dollars. And what happens to that money? Instead of contributing to Jehovah's work, the money goes to pay settlements of sexual abuse scandals. The victim are not protected. The victim are ostracized. Pedophiles are protected by the two-witness rule. Fact check. JW paid millions in legal settlements for child abuse cases. Source, Guardian 2023. Here's what one former JW said. We were told to give. But when the family was struggling, the congregation did nothing to help us. It was shocking for me to hear of stories of many Jehovah's Witnesses that needed help from the congregation and they were not helped. And yet on the outside, they look as united, as supportive, and very helpful to each other. Come, what is it? I'm good, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm out of focus.
Yeah, you're on this.
Hey.
That's my daughter interrupting my recording. Okay, now you can go.
I'll join you next time. Maybe I should come and do an episode with you.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you're doing recordings in the home. I should build a studio somewhere else. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. One ardent follower of my channel told me to do a video about why Jehovah's Witnesses don't help their members when they are going through problems. I know you Jehovah's Witnesses will scream at me and say, no, we are helpful. I'm just talking about the facts that I've received and the testimonies that I've heard. If you think that's shocking, imagine... that's why the testimonies of XJW, most of them say when I woke up. So meaning that all JW members are actually asleep because you cannot do things that JWs are made to do in your normal senses. You have to be hypnotized not to see that something is not right here. That's why they say when I woke up. So if you think that figure I've mentioned is shocking, imagine believing something your entire life only to be told it wasn't true. That's what happened to the next 500,000 people who left the Jehovah's Witnesses faith. And this happened when the Watchtower kept changing the doctrines in the name of New Light. Jehovah's Witnesses claim to have the truth, but if that's true, why does the truth keep changing? Over the years, the Watchtower has altered key doctrines, including the Armageddon timeline, the definition of this generation, and even blood transfusion rules. Imagine Jehovah's Witnesses have died over this blood transfusion rule, only to be changed later, meaning that those people died in vain over a ridiculous rule, over a misinterpreted scripture in Acts chapter 15. And as these changes were taking place, many members started asking, if this is really Jehovah, why do the doctrines keep on changing? And many people have actually commented on my videos about this very reason. Jehovah is immutable. Jehovah does not lie. The Bible tells us in Numbers that God is not man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent or change his mind. And yet, the governing body keeps on receiving clarified understanding. New light coming up every now and then. The new light they've received so far can light up New York. So if it was really from God, why does it keep on being rewritten? Fact check. The Watchtower has changed core doctrines multiple times, including shifting interpretation when Armageddon would happen. Source, Religious Studies Journal, 2021. And it stated, 42% of former JWs cited doctrinal inconsistencies as a reason for leaving. One former JW said, I grew up believing Armageddon would come in my lifetime. Then they changed it. What else were they wrong about? Very important question. One ex-JW, who is a survivor of sexual abuse, was asked what it was like as a child growing in a Jehovah's Witness, and this is what she said.
As a child, every night that you went to bed, you believed this may be your last night. You may not wake up.
Of course, it was always constantly that Armageddon could be coming at any minute.
What does Armageddon look like in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses?
In my head, it was giant fireballs coming out of the sky and people screaming and dying in front of me.
A fiery death wasn't the only thing that scared Tricia. In fact, in a way, her own world had already ended. Since she was a child, she says, she had been abused by someone she should have been able to trust the most.
Can you talk to me about the kind of abuse that you suffered?
Sexual abuse from my father. The abuse started as soon as I was born until I was approximately 14 years old.
If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. There is much more. For some, doctrinal changes were not their biggest betrayal. The next reason made 700,000 people to live in the last decade: the internet and the power of information. For decades, Jehovah's Witnesses controlled the flow of information. Members were warned never to research outside Watchtower publications. But then, the internet happened. Ex-JWs shared their stories, court records were exposed, and members started waking up. Let's look at a fact check. 65% of former Jehovah's Witnesses cited online research as a key factor in leaving their faith. Source: Exit Until 2022. One former JW said, "One video, one article, one leaked document, that's all it took to wake up." The next question is, what happens when people begin to question everything? When they go beyond just scandals and doctrines and realize that Jehovah's Witnesses weren't telling the truth at all. That realization caused the reason for the highest number of people to leave. Let's look at reason number 10. The Jehovah's Witnesses' faith no longer seemed like the truth. All these reasons, shunning, failed prophecies, financial scandals, and changing doctrines, led to one inescapable conclusion for nearly 850,000 Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses were no longer the truth. All these reasons, shunning, failed prophecies, child sexual abuse scandals, financial scandals, and changing doctrines, led to one inescapable conclusion for nearly 850,000 people. Jehovah's Witnesses were no longer telling the truth. And once a Jehovah's Witness realizes that, there is no turning back. Fact check. Many ex-JWs cite the realization that their beliefs were not unique or divinely guided as a final decision for living. So what is happening here is that all these reasons, they compound. As Blue was saying, he said it's like, he was talking of another JW who left, and he said it's like something hitting the windshield. A bit, there's a small crack, and as you keep on hitting on it, suddenly the whole windshield shatters.
So what is that process of waking up? What was that trigger, or was it like a slow bleed, death by 1,000 cuts, or like a lightning bolt?
Yeah, so the waking up process, it's different for every person, but I think there's one commonality that every single witness that ends up waking up to the religion shares, and it's that over time there are these things that occur, these little doubts you get through the period of your being a Jehovah's Witness that you try to suppress, don't think about, you box up, you put it away, you don't really think about it. There was actually another ex-JW YouTuber that phrased it in such a way that it's almost like a crack in the windshield. You keep driving, you get a little crack in the windshield. You might be able to ignore it, keep on driving. You get another crack in the windshield. Eventually, over time, you start getting a lot of cracks in the windshield, and you can't ignore them anymore. There's several instances through my journey of being a witness where there were things that didn't sit well with me, or made me think, made me ponder.
And this is what has happened because all these reasons, all these doubts, all this little nagging behind somebody's mind, they accumulate and create a bigger problem, a bigger impact that leads to shattering of the windscreen. And that makes sleeping Jehovah's Witnesses to wake up. It turns into a nightmare that makes Jehovah's Witnesses to wake up. And I'm inviting any ex-JW who would like to share his testimony to actually use my email address on about the channel to contact me so that we can arrange to share your testimony. It's important to speak out, to shake people, to wake them up from the sleep. So if you're interested in sharing your story on Tell Me Dr. K, kindly do so using the email address on about the channel, and I'll be more than delighted to contact you so that we can make an arrangement to discuss your testimony. So 850,000 people left because they stopped believing that JW was the truth. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. If you have any comments, you want to make a contribution to this video, or you want to challenge some of the facts, please do that in the comment section below. As I've mentioned, if you think some people will benefit from this video, please don't forget to share with them. You can share with as many people as you want and as you can. I'm sure if you are like me, you are wondering, how did Dr. K come up with these figures? In episode 3, I uncover how I came up with these figures. In the last 2 episodes, I discussed 10 biggest reasons why 2 million Jehovah's Witnesses left between 2015 and 2025. But some of you are asking, where did these numbers come from? And that is what we are going to answer in this video. I break down exactly how these figures were calculated and the sources behind these figures. Now, these are not just numbers. That's what you need to understand, because sometimes when you are looking at numbers, we just think that they are just numbers. For each number, there are people behind it, and there are stories and reasons why people left the Jehovah's Witnesses sect. So to begin with, we have to start looking at the denominator. 2 million people is a big declaration. Where did the 2 million come from? Jehovah's Witnesses publish detailed reports of their membership every year, including baptisms, publisher numbers, and overall growth trends. So if you go to jw.org, here are the figures. In 2015, there were 8.2 million active publishers. By 2025, this number had only grown to 8.7 million. But here is the shocking part. 2.5 million people were baptized during the same period, 2015 to 2025. Here is the big question you have to ask. If 2.5 million joined 2015 and 2025, and yet growth is only 500,000, where did the other 2 million people go? Now, let's break down why they left. And this gives an overview of what we discussed in the last 2 episodes. You cannot find the reasons and the numbers why people left in the JW reports. I had to turn to external sources, surveys, studies, and testimonies from former Jehovah's Witnesses. The following are the main sources where I got the information from: Exit and Tell 2020 survey, Pew Research Center Religious Landscape, Psychology of Religion Study 2024, XJW Reddit forums and YouTube testimonies, Trends in Religious Dissatisfaction from High Control Groups. Now, to make sure that these figures are crystal clear and they are defendable, I will explain the exact methodology used for each, referencing JW's own reports, surveys, and sociological studies on religious disaffiliation. How I divided the 2 million in 2 reasons. I used a combination of studies. I applied percentages based on survey responses and adjusted them proportionally to match the 2 million total. So the first reason I gave for people leaving are relationship struggles and personal freedom, of which 100,000 people left. So how did I determine this number? XJW surveys indicate that around 5% of former members left because of strict relationship controls, dating, marriage, and relationships. So applying this to 2 million, we estimate 100,000 left due to relationship restrictions. This number aligns with disfellowshipping reports related to bad associations and EXJW Reddit threads focusing on relationship conflicts. If you are enjoying this video, kindly do me a favor, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will receive a notification. Higher education ban, 150,000 left. And here is how we estimated this figure. Pew Religious Landscape Study shows that JWs have one of the lowest rates of higher education among religious groups, and many young people leave due to financial limitations. Exit and Tell surveys indicate that 7 to 8% of ex-JWs cited education restrictions as the reason for leaving. So when we apply this to the 2 million figure that we calculated, it means 150,000 people left because of higher education restrictions. The third reason we gave for Jehovah's Witnesses leaving is financial struggles and failed leadership. And I had indicated that approximately 150,000 people left. How I determined these figures. Jehovah's Witnesses' financial difficulties, property sale-offs, increased donations, became widely known between 2015 and 2025. Surveys and ex-JW testimonies show that 7 to 8% of former members cited distrust in leadership and financial mismanagement as key reasons for leaving. So applying this 150,000 left due to financial struggles and failed leadership. Reason number 4, mental health and burnout. 200,000 left. Determination. The Psychology of Religion 2024 study indicates that Jehovah's Witnesses report high rates of anxiety and depression due to constant pressures to perform. Exit and Tell surveys 2022 suggests that 10% of ex-JWs left because of mental health exacerbated by JW teachings. Applying this to 2 million total, 200,000 people left due to mental health and burnout.
While some witnesses may find solace in the organization's rigid ideology, others find it difficult to adhere to its rules, leading them to anxiety and depression. Those feelings of anxiety and depression are compounded by the fear that breaking the rules or leaving the organization will result in them being disfellowshipped and shunned by friends and family.
I never thought this could happen. I never, not in a million years, thought this could happen. You know, like death took 2 of my brothers and it never broke us up the way this has. Like in such a strange way.
I will be talking to former Jehovah's Witnesses about the struggles they faced being members of the organization and how their lives changed after they were disfellowshipped.
We go to reason number 5, the pandemic and loss of community, which resulted in 200,000 people leaving. During COVID, JWs were forced to stop in-person meetings, a key source of community reinforcement. COVID-19 affected Jehovah's Witnesses more than other religious groups. Now, all of them were affected. We were all affected, but the Jehovah's Witnesses were affected more. Now, here is the reason. The in-person meetings actually play a significant role for Jehovah's Witnesses because they're a key of community reinforcement. Members are kept busy, moving from door to door, participating in many activities, attending meetings, conventions, memorials, and all these other meetings. When Jehovah's Witnesses stopped having these in-person meetings, they had time to stop to think and reflect. Exit and Tell surveys indicate that 10% of ex-JWs left after the pandemic because they no longer felt tied to the organization. Applying this to 2 million, it means 200,000 left due to the pandemic and loss of community that resulted from it. Let's go to hypocrisy and organization scandals. 300,000 left. How I determined this. Over 10,000 sexual abuse cases against Jehovah's Witnesses were reported during this period, with over 400 million paid in settlements. Sources: The Guardian 2023. Exit and Tell surveys indicate that 15% of ex-JWs cited hypocrisy and scandals as their main reason for leaving. Applying this, 300,000 ex-JWs left due to hypocrisy and organization scandal. We go to reason number 7, shunning and family separations. 400,000 left. Pew Research shows that 70% of ex-JWs experience shunning, and for many, this is a driving force in their decision to leave. Exit and Tell data show that 20% of ex-JW cite family separation and shunning as their primary reason for leaving. Applying this, 400,000 left due to shunning and family separation. If you are enjoying this video, kindly do me a favor, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you receive a notification. We go to reason number 8, shifting doctrines and failed prophecies, 500,000 left. The Watchtower changed key doctrines between 2015 and 2025, especially the overlapping generation prophecy and blood transfusion rules. Applying this proportion to fit within 2 million total, 500,000 left due to doctrinal shifts and failed prophecies. The numbers are going up. Let's go to the 9th reason. 700,000 left. The internet provided previously hidden information about JW scandals, failed prophecies, and doctrinal inconsistencies. So 65% of ex-JWs in the Exit and Tell survey said that online research was a key reason for their decision to leave. So while many were exposed to this information in combination with other reasons, I conservatively estimate 700,000 left primarily because of information found online. And this is conservative because the number is probably higher than that. Now, let's look at the 10th reason why the majority of people left in the last decade. 40 to 66% of ex-JW surveys said that they left because they no longer believed the organization was the truth. Now, this is the most common cited reason for former members. Applying this to 2,800,000 people left because they realized Jehovah's Witnesses weren't the truth. Remember that Jehovah's Witnesses have branded themselves as the truth, as walking in the truth, as belonging to the truth. Here's a clip.
But have you ever asked a similar question? Maybe when you were just coming into the truth?
Over the last few years, we've had a few changes with regard to the events that occurred during the Great Tribulation. And if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's a bit hard to remember, was that what we used to believe, or is this what we believe now?
Many of our brothers have no trouble accepting the fact that Jehovah will forgive the sins they committed in their ignorance before they came to a knowledge of the truth.
So there you are. This is how I actually estimated and calculated 2 million Jehovah's Witnesses are actually left. And this is actually a conservative number, why Jehovah's Witnesses lost 2 million members. And imagine if they had maintained this number, by this time, there would be probably around 11 to 12 million members. I hope you have enjoyed this, and those of you who were doubting where I got these figures are now convinced that these figures are actually solid. They are not from thin air. They are actually based on solid data from Jehovah's Witnesses' own reports and from other surveys and studies, including ex-JW's testimonies. If you have found this video as informative and mind-opening, kindly like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you'll receive a notification. If you have any questions, you are seeking further clarifications, please do so in the comment section. If you have any other comment or you totally disagree with the figures, please also do so in the comments below. But please provide solid evidence from verified sources so that we can also go there and see whether these figures are right or wrong. And if so, I'll revise these figures and do another video to update the figures. If you think that this video will benefit others, kindly share with them, and you can share with as many people as possible.